Listen, if you've hung with me during these reviews, I appreciate and respect your diligence, so I'm going to do the best I can to bottom line these rankings for you. Tonight has seconds of Scream 7 written all over it for me. I've got a date with a movie theater, so we're going to rock these out. And of course, after you've liked this video, subscribe to the channel, let's go ahead and get into the highs and the lows of the Woodsboro slasher with our Aging Gracefully Scream rankings. If you did pay any attention to any of these reviews, you know that coming in at number 7 is 2011 Scream 4. Now, it was very easy to want to like this movie because it had been 11 years since we got Sidney Prescott running away from and fighting against a mystery attacker or attackers wearing ghost faces and using those cool voice modulators. Certified fact, the 1996 original really saved the genre, the horror genre, but I don't think that it flourished in its absence. And as good as it was to hear that voice on the phone and see that black cloaked figure stalking about in Woodsboro, this one missed on a few too many levels for me, and it wound up being kind of an easy one to skip. All of our originals are always great to see in these movies, and we did get a fresh face cast. I thought the killer reveal was underwhelming, though. Left a lot to be desired. And shout out to Alison Brie for being really strong in this movie. I really was entertained by her, and she didn't get a ton of time on the screen, but what we did have, we got some of those Parker Posey vibes that she gave us in Scream 3. Wasn't quite at the Parker Posey level, and you know, the more I talk about Scream 4, the more I think about Scream 4. I think I gave it a 5 out of 10 in my prior review. I'd probably bump that up to a 6 out of 10. There's really not too many bad movies in this franchise, in this lineage. I don't know that I could call Scream 4 one of them, but somebody's got to be last, and in this case it's going to be the 2011 edition of our story.
If you'd like information about Sunrise Pictures merchandise,
Come on.
press 5.
Coming in at number 6, Scream 3 from 2000, and the rest of this list, I got to tell you, is all gas, no breaks whatsoever. I mean, this is a solid horror from here on out. And it took us 3 years to get Scream 3 after the massacre at Windsor College. And that gap, when it comes to when we would next get a Scream, would feel like a long weekend. You know, this movie, it offered us a story centered around Maureen Prescott and her past as a B-movie horror actress, which I dug because who didn't grow up on B horror movies? We all did. It's in our blood. Sidney is in hiding for this movie because if you've spent 2 full films getting chased around with your life on the line, you're going to go live out in the woods under an assumed name. But however, those murders ramp back up. They wind up calling her. I say they because it's a Scream movie. There's always more than one. They wind up calling her where she is in seclusion, and then she decides she's going to join forces back with Gail, back with Dewey in Hollywood, before finding out a family secret that threatens to serve our final girl with her final breath. All respect and love. Mentioned it before, we're going to mention it now. Parker Posey in this movie had no right being as amazing as she was in this film. I think this is the best she's ever been. I absolutely loved her. She chewed up every single line. One of my favorite characters in the entire lineage, and it's really not that close. Stepping into the now, into the very present, Scream 7 comes in at number 5, 2026 edition. Just watched it the other day. I'm going to go watch it again here real soon, in just a few hours in fact. But I got to tell you, do me a solid with this movie. Set aside the controversy, the angst, the need to be miserable about something, okay? Park that somewhere and go give this a look and truthfully come back and tell me that you didn't have fun with it. You know, the cold open with a mocker house being some twisted Airbnb was super fun. Sidney Prescott's back. She's being awesome. She's got a daughter. She's very maternal, yet she still wants to hide that part of her life, that dark side of her life, from her little girl for fear of that somehow seeping back into their lives, which, you know, go figure. I mean, that happens in this very film. Great twist in the middle with a killer being revealed, a brutal killer being revealed, right smack dab in the middle of the film. We just never get that. Some nasty, nasty kills, and, you know, God damn it, we get another dance with Ghostface. I mean, come on now. Now, the killer reveal is a massive thing in any film, and it was a major letdown in this movie. I won't lie to you. I'm not going to pretend. You're going to get to the third act, and it's probably going to kick you in the nuts. Not getting Sam and Tara back, massive bummer, and I really wish they'd have had more for Mindy and Chad to do, because that's the core four we're talking about here. All that being said, though, and I know there's plenty being written, there's plenty being talked about, whatever. I'm glad we're back to being freaked the fuck out by a phone ringing. Nice job, Scream 7. I dug that movie.
A lot of shit happens at the movies. People get robbed, shot, maimed, murdered. Multiplex is just a very dangerous place to be these days.
Coming in at number 4. Ric Flair used to do this. It drove me nuts, and now I find myself doing it all the time. Middle-aged and crazy. Scream 2, 1997, comes in at number 4 on this list, and I can't even begin to describe to you how fevered the anticipation for this movie was back in 1997, because we were just a year removed from horror being redefined by Scream. The original was just massive, and along with the actors and actresses clamoring to be back in this sequel, it takes place at Windsor College, brand new setting for us, away from Woodsboro. Fans to get into this movie were literally lined up down the streets of the cinemas in North Carolina where I lived. And apart from the sin of killing off our beloved Randy so early in not only the franchise but in the movie, they killed him off in the first half hour, 45 minutes. I mean, what are we doing? Maybe they let Jerry O'Connell croon a little too long for my taste too. I didn't need to hear that man singing. But this was one of those rare sequels in horror that really does proper justice to the OG. Doesn't beat it. It doesn't beat. This is not Aliens v. Alien. I mean, it doesn't quite win that contest, but it's a damn fine horror rewatch and a fresh take on this tale that originated in Woodsboro, California. We did get 2 killers brandishing the knife this time around. It left the door open for a great many possibilities and sequels to come, because we were sort of trained by our love for Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street and the big dogs that is typically one killer returning over and over again. But Scream completely rewrote those rules, and I really dug Scream 2 as soon as it was released. High rewatchability. Awesome movie.
Warmer. You're on fire.
Coming in at number 3 on the countdown, Scream 6 from 2023. And I've had a lot of discussions with a lot of people. I don't know if that just means I need to do something more productive with my time, but a lot of people don't like this movie, and I just don't understand it. Because realistically, do you remember what happened the last time one of our loved, famed killers went to New York City? I do, and it was a steaming pile of raw sewage. It was not fun. It wasn't a good trip. This one feels different, though, because we got back to those vintage Ghostface vibes with that brutality of the 2022 Scream, and then the characters that we got from that movie really freshened everything up. I mean, minus Sidney Prescott in this film, which I thought was nuts. Honestly, if you'd have told me I'd have dug this movie without our final girl, I would have probably called you insane. But we're in the Big Apple, a phone rings, and we get a handful of killers in the 6th installment of the franchise, all of which have their sights set on the Carpenter sisters, Sam and Tara, for some reason. Now, I wouldn't have guessed that a Scream without Dewey, without Sidney, and without Randy, of course, would be any good. But this turned out to be a much-needed vacay for our cast and our killer. Scream 6, I'd give it another shot if I were you, because I really thought they did a lot of really strong things. That bodega scene alone, I mean, come on. And the Rob Zombie mask, as much as I hate what Rob Zombie did to Michael Myers in our beloved Halloween franchise, that mask looked good in Ghostface. And it looked weathered, it looked cracked, and I'm here for it. Nicely done, in my opinion.
Third act, bloodbath, check. Killer's reveal, check. Time for the big finale.
Almost there. Almost there. Coming in at number 2, Scream. The 2022 edition. Hand to God, the trend of giving a sequel the same name as the original pisses me off more than it rightfully should. I didn't understand that decision. Unless it's an outright remake, I just don't get it. And when you couple that with what we were handed in 2011 with Scream 4, it's really not all that surprising that we had to wait another 11 years to get another slice of Ghostface. On top of that, we got another fresh, young cast, and that they gave us in Scream 4, but I never personally liked in Scream 4, and I didn't think this group was going to stick here either. But man, these charismatic little shits, they just make you love them. Loved where the story took us and how they were able to work legacy characters into it. Didn't love what happened to Dewey. I thought they gave him a good send-off. I thought it was properly brutal, but I don't know why they killed him. Yeah, you know, whatever. It's just me. It's just me, okay? I have attachment issues, and when I love somebody, I love somebody. And I really love Dewey in this series. And Randy, of course, too. I mean, Jesus Christ, guys. But this is another one of those movies that I constantly read these lists, and it's down towards the bottom. And I respect other people's opinions. That's why I love horror, and I love being able to have conversations about it. I disagree. I think it's a top 2 film. Scream in 2022 was a banger. Richie, I think Richie and Amber are 2 of the better Ghostfaces that we've had amongst all 7 of these films, bar none.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
No, Billy!
Anthony Perkins, Psycho.
No brainer. Number 1 with a bullet, or knife, or a voice modulator, or anything you want to say. Insert clever comment here. Scream from 1996. I mean, horror was in a very weird place in 1996. You know, Freddy, Michael, Jason, they were really starting to look their age. And then we had killers like Pinhead, the Candyman, Chucky. They were either firmly in the straight to DVD bins or they were looking really hard at it. And that's when you enter the icon of icons, Wes Craven, to do his thing once more and save things once more. Much like he did with Nightmare on Elm Street in the 80s, Wes decided to take the genre by storm once more and give us an original tale of a swift killer with a smooth voice and a really sharp blade. You know, is framed horror movies as a motive for young men to go on a small town killing spree was smart for all of us who grew up on those films. And in the back of our minds, we always wondered, what would happen if someone took their love for scary movies just a step too far? 1996's Scream saved horror. I mean, it gave it that adrenaline injection that it so desperately needed, and that would birth copycat after copycat several years down the line, some of which were really entertaining, and some of which were an hour and a half you'll never get back in your life. There was only one Scream, though. You only get one chance to make a first impression, and they killed this first impression and built off of that for the last 30 years. So 1996's Scream is an all-timer for me. I don't know if I gave it a perfect score. I don't think I did. I think I got pretty damn close. But it's a really, really solid film. It's a step below Halloween, so it's probably a 9.5. But it's every bit of a 9.5. It's just that good. That's it, quick and easy. I'm out of here. I'm going to go to the movie theater. I'm going to spend way too much money on popcorn, way too much money on a Coke Zero. Yes, I know it's not good for you, but I'm going to drink that anyways. I'm excited to see Scream 7 for a second time. If you dig these movies, if you like my rankings, if you don't, give me your rankings in the comments. I would love to see it. I would love to talk about it. These movies keep us young, I feel like. They keep us scared. And when I took my son to this movie, it scared the shit out of him. I had to walk into the dark house first. He's 16. I'm not going to shame him too much, but man, he was spooked. I appreciate you guys watching this video. I hope you subscribe to the channel if you think we're worthwhile and sticking around for. I will see you on the other side. Matthew Essex, Aging Gracefully. One of these days I'll get the sign off right. Bye.